Her name is Charlene, 32 years old, Hong Kong. At 28, she owned 5 properties: Shenzhen, Macao, Hong Kong. She was leveraged, ambitious, and by every local standard, winning. Today, 3 of those 5 properties are worth less than what she owes on them. Her paper loss: over 10 million Hong Kong dollars. She appeared on local TV to tell her story, and Hong Kong didn't want to hear it, because Charlene isn't an exception. Charlene is a warning. The real numbers. Let me give you the numbers that the Hong Kong government is very careful about how it presents. At the peak of the crisis, March 2025, 40,741 residential mortgages were in negative equity, the highest number since the SARS outbreak in 2003. By September 2025, that number was still 31,449. The total value of those underwater loans? 156 billion Hong Kong dollars. By March 2026, the number dropped to 11,424 negative equity loans. And here's where it gets controversial. The government called this a recovery. But look closer. Property values fell nearly 30% from their 2021 peak. Office vacancy rates hit 17.5% in 2025. Commercial real estate valuations down more than 50% from their highs, a 50% collapse in one of the most expensive real estate markets on earth. That's not a correction. That's a crisis with a PR team in panic mode. The time bomb nobody is diffusing. Now let's talk about the commercial side, because this is where it gets serious. Hong Kong's banks are sitting on 200 billion Hong Kong dollars. That's 25.5 billion US dollars of soured debt. Bloomberg called it 2 weeks ago a distressed loan ratio at a 2-decade high. A small group of fewer than 200 bankers, less than 0.07% of the city's finance workforce, are now running emergency fire sales to clean it up. Developers are defaulting. Road King, Emperor International, names that were untouchable 5 years ago. Bond repayments for Hong Kong developers jumped 70% in 2026 compared to the year before. And the banks with the biggest exposure? HSBC, Standard Chartered. Institutions the global financial system is built around. Property and its related sectors account for roughly a quarter of Hong Kong's entire GDP. Let that sink in. $1 in $4 this economy produces is connected to the sector that just lost half its value. The official story versus reality. Here's what the Hong Kong government tells you. Residential prices bounced back 4.7% in 2025. Mortgage delinquency is low, just 0.5%. GDP grew 5.9% year-on-year in Q1 2026. The crisis is over. Here's what the government doesn't lead with. Fiscal reserves fell 43% in 6 years, from 1.2 trillion Hong Kong dollars in 2019 to 657 billion today. The government is now issuing 160 to 220 billion dollars in bonds every single year for the next 5 years to fund infrastructure. Debt to GDP expected to hit nearly 20%. Triple what it was just 4 years ago. The king of liquidation, a veteran with 36 years of experience, just expanded his restructuring team from 80 to 130 people because he sees what's coming. You don't build a bigger liquidation team during a recovery. Back to Charlene. Back to Charlene for a second, because her story isn't about greed. Her story is about a system that told an entire generation property is safe. Property always goes up. If you're not leveraged, you're losing. That was the cultural gospel of Hong Kong for 30 years. Banks offered it. Parents encouraged it. The government enabled it by restricting land supply to keep valuations high. And now the music has stopped, but the show must go on. Charlene's 9.5 million Hong Kong dollars, flat in the new territories, bought with a 20% down payment, $1.9 million of her own money, is worth less than her outstanding mortgage. Her equity, gone, completely wiped out. She still makes her monthly payments. She still shows up. But the promise that was made to her was never real, and she is one of tens of thousands. The official line is that Hong Kong is stabilizing, and maybe it is. Slowly, partially, but stabilizing, it's not the same as recovering, and recovering is not the same as the promise that was made. The bad debt is still there. The empty offices are still there. The people underwater on their mortgages are still there, just with 2 extra jobs daily to survive. The question isn't whether Hong Kong survives this. Hong Kong survives everything. It always has. The question is, who pays the bill? And the answer, if you look at the data honestly, is already written. I've spent nearly 20 years in this city and this region. I don't do headlines. I do ground level. Subscribe if that's the kind of analysis you're looking for. New episodes twice a week.